It's Friday, which means it's time for another exciting episode of Ask Us Anything. Bahir and Uma with you. Our first two questions for this week are for me, not for you, Bahir, because it's about SNL 50, and you, I'm assuming, one, haven't seen it, and two, don't really like SNL. So, let me take these. At Burn Like Cinders asks, since you insist, favorite SNL 50 skit and why? And any past favorite skit characters you were looking forward to but were a no-show. So I had watched the SNL 50. The one I think you will like is the SNL 50 Homecoming concert.
Right.
Because it was just musical act after musical act, and SNL has had a history of having some of the most tremendous artists on their show, and a lot of them actually fucking show up. And some of them are really old.
Nice.
And they were great. They were absolutely fantastic. They got Nirvana back together, but Post Malone was doing Kurt Cobain, and he was doing Kurt Cobain. Like, I was watching that, and for a second I was like, how did Post Malone get here? How did the Sunflower guy get here? And he was good doing Smells Like Teen Spirit. It was really good. Anyway. I think the SNL 50, like all episodes of SNL, was a mixed bag. But there were a couple of standout skits. I really, really liked Black Jeopardy. Actually, I like it whenever they do Jeopardy on SNL. It's very, very funny. But this one was particularly good because you had Tracy Morgan, but you had Eddie Murphy as well. Only Tracy Morgan was playing a character, and Eddie Murphy was playing Tracy Morgan next to Tracy Morgan. And it was a spot-on impression and really fucking funny. Added bonus, Tom Hanks shows up as a MAGA supporter. And I say added bonus because it really pissed off all the MAGA people in real life.
Right.
And they could not get over that. And then the other thing I really liked, which is probably the best thing and most consistent thing on SNL, was Weekend Update. Because they had Michael Che and Colin Jost, but they brought back a whole bunch of former presenters as well. And there was a great bit by Bill Murray, which was very, very funny.
Can I just say, the only SNL skit that show up on YouTube that I will watch is the Weekend Update.
Yeah, Weekend Update is consistently funny. And the both of them are great. Very, very funny. As for favorite skits and characters I was looking forward to, more cowbell. That's the only thing I wanted. I wanted Christopher Walken to be doing cowbell, and I didn't get it. But otherwise...
That seems like an easy get.
Otherwise, it was a pretty good show in that it was really a trip down memory lane and it was nostalgia-filled, as these anniversary things tend to be, right?
Yeah.
So, let us know what yours are, Burn Like Cinders. If you've seen the 2-hour, 45-minute special, let us know which skits you liked and which were hits and which were misses. A follow-up by @MavenWoon asks, now that SNL has turned 50, do you think the show is still as culturally relevant or does it need to evolve with the times? Lorne Michaels reiterated that he would stay on to lead the show, but if he were to retire, who would you want to take over? To be fair, I think SNL has always kind of evolved with the times because it has always responded to whatever has been happening that particular week. It's been a political show from the get-go. Sure, there are moments of idiotic comedy, as is to be expected from a show like that, but it's always responded to the politics of the day. And I think whether or not you like SNL, it has grown talent and it has given us some great comedic voices. Andy Samberg, Jason Sudeikis, Eddie Murphy, Chevy Chase, Bill Murray. Like, they all started from like Second City, SNL, all of these things, right? And so I think as a breeding ground for talent, it continues to be very, very good. As for who should take over when Lorne retires, I just want Tina Fey to do it. I think Tina Fey is brilliant, and like, I don't get enough of Tina Fey. Like, I always like it when she does TV shows or movies, but I think she would be a great executive producer, showrunner for SNL.
My only comment regarding Tina Fey would be that I don't know. It's not like when Reese Witherspoon is an executive producer of a TV show. It's not like when Jason Sudeikis is executive producer of Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso is 8 episodes a year. SNL is a shit ton of episodes a year. It becomes a full-time job. You're not just popping in for one or two things. It takes over your life, right? So the question is that something Tina Fey wants to do?
Yeah.
I actually don't think it will be anybody big. I feel like, again, speaking completely out of turn as a guy who's entirely uninterested in SNL, I suspect if anybody was to take over, I think he'll be a non-famous producer. I think he'll be someone promoted upwards from inside. I think it will be a former producer. I don't think it will be a front-facing character, only because it's such an all-encompassing job.
And, we may get an answer sooner rather than later. I mean, Lauren
He's
is
80.
80 years old.
Jeez, yeah.
So, there you go. There you go.
At Iselia asks, thoughts on Mo Season 2? Well, we've done an entire episode on that.
Correct, Azalea. I just included this question so that we can point you in the direction of the Goggler Podcast, where we have done a full review of Mo Season 2. Also, on our Instagram page, there is a rating of Mo Season 2, so you can check out our mini review over there as well. In short, we really fucking loved it.
To all the other people who are listening to this podcast and who hasn't seen Mo, you should check out Mo.
Oh my god, you should go and check out Mo.
You should go check out Mo.
It's not long.
It's not long and it's not hard to consume.
Correct. Nice, short, concise, 25 to 30 minute episodes. It's good. It's good Netflix fare, which is not something we often say.
Yeah.
At Sid Takudin asks, since season 3 just started, what are your thoughts on the White Lotus? Did you guys get an early release of season 3 episodes? Unfortunately, we did not get to watch season 3 of White Lotus in advance. However, I have seen the first episode. Have you seen the first episode, Bahir?
I have seen the first episode.
I really like this season.
I need more. I feel like White Lotus is one of those shows where I'm always hard pressed to find an opinion of it until I've seen enough episodes.
But I'm liking what I'm seeing. Like, it's a very different set of people from season 1 and 2. And I'm sure it's going to go down a similar debaucherous path. But I like that all of these characters are distinct and different. And I have to say, Mike White kind of stands apart in Hollywood, right? Because he does everything. He doesn't have a writer's room. He sits down and he writes all of these episodes himself, as he has done with season 1 and season 2, and he's directing all of these episodes himself as well. So he is literally a one-man show, which doesn't really exist. And that was the reason season 1 could exist, because it was during the pandemic and HBO were looking for things because they were running out of shit because they couldn't go into production. And Mike White was like, well, I got this thing and you can produce it all on a private resort in Hawaii under lockdown in a bubble so everyone can carry on with their regular lives while we make this show. And it kind of worked.
I will say the thing I'm kind of looking forward to is with the casting of Lalisa as one of the staff members at the White Lotus, I'm hoping for more staff-centric points of view.
We got a little bit of it in season 2.
Yeah, we did, but I feel like it would be nice to see from the point of view of a staff who has to deal with these assholes on a constant basis.
More so because we know how assholey Americans can be when they're in Southeast Asia. So
yes,
that would add a different layer to it. I think that was my biggest nitpick with season 1. Because it was shot in pandemic, the resort felt very empty. And obviously so, because they couldn't have as many people. So even when you looked at the staff, you were like, why are there like 5 people managing this whole hotel?
I will say I did enjoy 2 more than I did 1.
Same. 100%.
Yeah.
White Lotus is also unique in that it is truly an anthology show. You can actually just jump into season 3 without having watched season 1 or 2. Jennifer Coolidge was the only carryover from season 1 to season 2, but even that is kind of irrelevant. You can watch season 2 without knowing anything about her character from season 1.
8 Files asks, for you guys, what do you think is the best streaming service or network when it comes to content? For me, I think it's HBO, but I asked other people and they said they think it's Apple TV+. I don't know if I can speak for Uma on this, but we agree with other people. I think Apple TV Plus is fan-fucking-tastic.
For me, it's close. Like, quality of show-wise, I think I would rank the HBO shows as highly as I would Apple TV Plus. However, in recent years, I will say Apple TV Plus is putting out more content, more premium content than HBO is.
The only upside with HBO is that they have a massive library. And now with Max available in Malaysia, we have access to a lot more of that library now.
Correct. So if you're paying for Max, you get access to all of that back catalog, which Apple TV doesn't have a lot of. They do, but it's not that much. And occasionally, even if you're a subscriber to Apple TV Plus, they have free movies, which are not the original productions that show up that you can watch. But it's a very limited selection.
Yeah.
That said, like if you're going purely by numbers, then I think Apple TV Plus really is hit after hit. Like for me, that is the most value for money with regards to satisfaction that I get when I click play.
So for me, the best way to put it is this. If I wasn't doing what I do as a job and I need to have all my streamers in place, I would say the one I would keep would probably be Apple TV Plus, because let's be honest, right? It's 2025. By the time we get home from work 5 days a week, it'll be close to 8. It'll be close to 9, right? You only have time for, say, 1 or 2 TV shows. Apple TV's weekly drops are great. You've got such a choice of genre, and now we're getting a lot more different languages, which are also very, very fucking good shows. And I think Apple TV has that, it's got that level of quality and polish that used to only belong to HBO.
Yes.
No, I think Apple TV Plus is doing some real God's work with regards to streaming.
I agree. I think if we weren't doing this, I would have cancelled Netflix a long time ago.
Other than actually reviewing shows, I don't really watch Netflix. Oh, you know what I do? Because they do a lot of those murder docuseries stuff.
Right.
And historical docuseries, which I love. So I've just been binging a lot of the historical docuseries. But a lot of the new stuff I almost never care for.
It's very rare that a Mo comes around.
Yeah. And even then, it's
really an outlier.
Yeah.
At I am Kenny Liu asks, what are your thoughts on Neza 2's box office take? Is it coming to Malaysia soon? So if you don't know, Neza 2 is the Chinese animated hit. I think it has taken something like 1.6 billion in China already. I think it's overtaken the Frozen 2 box office numbers. It is now somewhere in the top 10 of all-time animated movies. That's not very surprising. I think China as a market is a massive one, and when they do love a show, it's one of the few places in the world where people go back and rewatch things over and over again. It's something that isn't happening as much in America. It isn't happening as much here in Malaysia, and it's also because of the prevalence of streaming services, etc., etc. China is an interesting case study because if you remember pre-pandemic, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was this huge push by America into China, right? Every Transformers movie would have a Chinese star who had 2 lines just as a way to try and break into the Chinese market. Over the years, the Chinese cinema going public has changed their practices as well and their habits. And Hollywood movies aren't doing as well as they used to. And so that push no longer exists. Occasionally, a Captain America will open day and date in China. And of course, that will add some money to its box office haul. But I think we're well beyond the point where a movie like Warcraft is considered successful because it made nothing in America, but like $500 million in China, right? And so China is a very standalone, insular cinema market. But the shows that they make and put out make a lot of money in China. And the ones that do crazy exceptionally well often trickle out into America and Malaysia and other countries all over the world. As for Neza 2, I made some inquiries, and it looks like it might well be coming to our screens. There isn't a confirmed release date yet, but it's apparently in the works. That's all we know.
And finally, our last question of the day at Rabbit Hop asks, is Mickey 17 coming to Malaysia, and what is your favorite Bong Joon-ho film? Mine is Parasite and Snowpiercer, and I would also like to add that Okja was grossly underrated. Mickey 17 is coming to Malaysia.
It's coming sooner than you think, my friend.
Sooner than you think. I am looking forward to that. That trailer looks bonkers.
I am a huge fan of Bong Joon-ho. I totally agree with your statement about Okja being seriously underrated. However, I think I had a very different reaction to Okja than most people. It's supposed to be this animal rights eco-positive film. I just left it wanting bacon, which I don't think was the appropriate reaction to that movie.
Don't think that was the message of that movie.
No, I don't think it was at all. I like Memories of Murder, and I think The Host is absolutely fantastic. I was thinking about it when we got this question, and I don't think there is a Bong Joon-ho movie that I hate. I really enjoyed all of them, but gun to my head, and I know this is not the popular choice, it'll probably be Snowpiercer. There was something about that movie that I really, really enjoyed. And it's not perfect, mind you, and I don't think it was a great adaptation of the graphic novel because the graphic novel felt like it had a lot more depth. But there was something about that movie that I really fucking enjoyed. And I just thought the way he pulled it off was incredible. Interesting fact about that film, I had a friend who worked on it and he was one of the ADs on the movie. Bong Joon-ho shot that movie in sequence. So he shot it as they were progressing from the back of the train to the front of the train. And mind you, that is not an easy fucking thing to do. I know it's a single location thing, and that is easier than shooting if your movie is everywhere. But shooting in sequence is not easy, and it's not as easy as you think it is.
I think if any movie was designed to be shot in sequence, would probably be Snowpiercer.
Yeah, for sure.
Unlike when you're shooting other things, you jump around based on
location availability.
Based on location. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, based on location, so you don't have to go back and forth. But I think with Snowpiercer, the way it was done, the way the story was told, I think doing it in sequence is fine. I will say this. Other than Parasite, I haven't seen any of his other films.
You've seen Snowpiercer?
Sorry, I mean, I haven't seen any of his Korean language movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've seen Snowpiercer, I've seen Okja, I've seen Parasite too many times. So I think my choice would also be Snowpiercer. I think Parasite is fantastic. I think Parasite as a analogy for class systems in Korea and in the rest of the world is fantastic. I think the symbolism in that movie is fantastic. But the one that I had the most fun in, Snowpiercer.
Agreed.
Easy. I thought Okja was strange. I thought it was, like, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed watching the movie, but it's not something I would go back to watch.
Like Bahir said, Mickey 17 is coming out first week of March. Just to add, we're going to be doing a ticket giveaway. So if you check out our Instagram page, there will be details on how you can win tickets to be one of the first people in the world to watch the movie. And yes, it looks pretty fucking out there, and it's got some great reviews out of Korea and its premiere already. So we're super excited about that one. I think his next movie is an animated film. That's what I heard he was working on, but I'm not sure what it is or what it's about. I don't think anything else has been announced. So it'll be cool to see what Bong Joon-ho does with animation. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of another exciting episode of Ask Us Anything. Thank you so much for your questions. Keep them coming in. You know how to reach out. We're on Instagram on GogglerMY. You can also email us on podcast@goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.